Linear Control Systems, lecture number 27. I am your instructor Yasir Amir Khan and I welcome you to this lecture. This lecture is related to the family of PID controllers. We will consider proportional integral, proportional derivative and proportional integral derivative controllers in today's lecture. So let us start with our today's lecture. Design by root locus. The root locus typically allows us to choose the proper loop gain to meet the transient response specifications. As the gain is varied, we move through different regions of response. Setting the gain at a particular value yields transient response dictated by the pole at that point on the root locus. Thus, we are limited to those responses that exist along the root locus. What this means is that, first of all, for your revision, root locus is simply the plot of roots of the closed loop transfer function on the complex plane as some parameter of the system is varied. Now the root locus is in form of some lines and curves that we draw on the complex plane. Those lines and curves represent the location of the closed loop poles when some system parameter, normally the k is varied, and the specific location of this closed loop pole on the complex plane on the root locus tells us that how the transient response is going to be. What's going to be the overshoot, what's going to be the rise time, undershoot, settling time, etc., etc. If you find these concepts new or difficult, you should refer to lecture number 3 and 4, transient time response specifications, time response, that we considered some time ago at the start of this course. So what I'm saying right now is that the location of the closed loop poles, which can be changed by adjusting the gain in series with the controller or the plant, in the gain of the controller that is in cascaded with the plant. By changing that, we can change the location of the closed loop poles. The location of the closed loop poles determines the shape of the transient response, how fast it's going to be, how much overshoot is there going to be there, etc., and the settling time as well, how long it will take to settle down. So that depends on the location of the poles, and that depends on the gain. That is one thing. The second point is that we cannot have the location anywhere in the complex plane. We have to restrict, or rather the system restricts on the root locus. Root locus is simply the roots of the closed loop transfer function. They cannot be anywhere on the complex plane. They have precise location depending on the transfer function, depending on the characteristic equation, that what the characteristic equation is composed of, what, etc. We in the root locus restrict on the root locus, the lines of the root locus. We cannot move anywhere on the complex plane. So this is a limitation that we have. Limitation in a sense that when we adjust k, we can only move on the root locus. As you will shortly see, if we want the type of response to be such that requires a pole somewhere else on the complex plane, then that would not be possible with the simply adjusting the gain. So by adjusting, the point is that by adjusting gain k, that is we have a k before the plant like this, then we have a sensor, and then we have the summer over here. By adjusting this k, we can move on the root locus. But this is the complex plane, and on that, this is our root locus, something like this. These were the two poles of our root locus. Like we can have the closed loop poles anywhere on this root locus, these lines, not over here, not over here, not over here. By changing the gain, we can only remain on the root locus, that is this thing. That is actually the point. And if we want, we definitely will not want the root closed loop poles to be here, that's the unstable region. If suppose we want the closed loop pole to be here and here, the pair in form of a pair, then by simply adjusting the gain k, it will not be possible. However, it is possible, we can have the poles over there, but for that we have to use a technique. That is what we will consider, we are considering in today's lecture. So this is our slide number 3, improving the transient response. Flexibility in the in the desire of a desired transient response can be increased if we can design for transient response that are not on the root locus. Like I was just saying that, as you can see in this figure over here, figure illustrates the concept. Assume that the desired transient response defined by the percentage overshoot and the settling time is represented by the point B. What this means is that we want our system response to be here, and that is so because of the settling time and the overshoot requirement, etc. We want the system to be have so and so overshoot and so and so settling time, and that when we translate that into a pole, we have the pole at location B. But the problem is that we have the root locus over here like this, and we can best move over here. We cannot go to this place, that is not possible. Root locus does not allow it. So by adjusting the gain, we can only remain on the root locus, and we can best reach the point A by adjusting the value of the gain k. So it's written over here, unfortunately on the current root locus at the points specified percentage overshoot, we only can obtain the settling time represented by the point A after a simple gain adjustment. By simple gain adjustment, what best we can do is that we can take the closed loop poles at point A along with its conjugate below the x-axis, but on the root locus. So but actually we want them to be at point B. So what's the solution? If you look at the before we proceed to the solution, if you look at the response of the system in time domain, with pole at A, the time response is as shown over here, and with pole at B, it should be like that. Both have the same amount of overshoot, but the speed of response for the pole at B is faster. There is a larger rise time. The response rises at a higher rate quickly. The overshoot is same, but it rises quickly. So what is happening over here is that in order to meet the rise time and settling time, etc. requirements, we can best move to point A with the change in the gain with using the proportional controller, or simply a gain k. Using gain k, we can best move to point A to get the same overshoot and settling time. We cannot do more than that. If we want the system response to be faster than that, the same amount of overshoot and settling time, we need to do something something out of the box, something different. We want the closed loop system pole to be at point B, but with only adjusting k, we cannot move to point B. We can best move to point A. So how can we move to point B? How we can take the closed loop poles to B? For that we have to incorporate the technique, and we call that, we have to use compensator. That is called compensation. We have to use compensation. We have to insert a controller or a compensator into the loop, and we can get this desired requirement, taking the closed loop pole at point B, which was otherwise not possible. So let's move to the next slide. Thus, our goal is to speed up the response at A to that of B without affecting the percentage overshoot. This increase in the speed cannot be accomplished by simple gain adjustment, since point B does not lie on the root locus, like I was just saying. So this figure shows the improvement in the transient response. The faster response has same percentage overshoot as the slower response. So what this means is that we want the response to be at point B. That was not this target could not be achieved by simple adjustment of gain. For that we need something more drastic, and let us see how is that possible. So in this slide number 5, one method of compensating for the transient response is to insert a differentiator in the forward path in parallel with the gain. We can visualize the operation of the differentiator with the following example. Assume that a position control system assuming a position control system with a step input, we note that the error undergoes an initial large change. Differentiating this rapid change yields a large signal that drives the plant. The output of the differentiator is much larger than the output from the pure gain. This large initial input to the plant produces a faster response. As the error approaches its final value, its derivative approaches 0 and the output from the differentiator becomes negligible compared to the output from the gain. What is said over here is that in order to improve the transient response, we can use what we call proportional derivative controller. We can incorporate the concept of differentiation. Differentiation is finding the rate of change of a signal. Differentiate a signal, that is, you get the rate of change of that signal. What the author of your textbook is saying over here is that for a position control system, suppose initially the error undergoes an initial large change. There is a large change in the error, and what happens is that the large change is sudden. The differentiator which performs the differentiation operation, what it does is that it differentiates the signal. It determines the rate of change of the signal. If the signal that is going into the plant is changing, and it is changing at a faster rate, then the differentiator output will have a larger value because the rate of change will be larger. If it is changing slowly, then the differentiator output will be smaller value. Differentiator output will be smaller value. So the differentiator simply produces an output that is proportional to the rate of change of the signal. Larger rate of change of signal means larger output of the differentiator. Smaller rate of change means smaller output of the differentiator. Now, if consider two situations where one you have a pure gain and you have an input signal, and simply it multiplies and gives a larger input signal. On the other hand, you have a differentiator and you give the same signal to the differentiator, it will produce an output that will be like this. Initially this thing is larger because we have a higher rate of change over here, and finally the rate of change becomes smaller and 0 over here. So what this means is that if a sudden rapid change in the error signal occurs, the differentiator produces a large output. That large output goes to the plant, and plant takes the necessary corrective action. The intensity of the corrective action is more, and if you are using a proportional controller, this thing does not happen there, because if it simply gives an amplified version of the input signal, it does not respond to the rate of change. If there is a sudden change in the input signal, the differentiator produces a large output, and the plant takes a corrective measure in accordance with that. Imagine that the control system is, suppose you are standing and then somebody pushes you. In two scenarios, in scenario A, someone pushes you lightly. In the scenario B, someone pushes you harder. In situation A, the amount of effort you have to put uh, in order to compensate that signal is smaller, whereas in the second case you need a larger, more effort to keep yourself balanced and stable. Same is happening over here. If there is a sudden increase in the input signal, then the plant needs to take a larger corrective measure to stop that sudden increase. Proportional controller cannot achieve this thing. This thing can be achieved through a differentiator, because differentiator differentiates the signal and determines the rate of change of the signal, and that rate of the change of the signal goes into the plant. Larger value going into the plant means larger output, so that it can oppose the abrupt or sudden or faster change in the input signal. That is possible by derivative. In this way we can achieve a higher rate of rise of the output signal. We can have a smaller rise time. We can have a faster response that goes to the steady state faster. That is possible using the differentiator. So far what I've said is that we have a root locus, and on the root locus, by adjusting the gain, we can place the closed loop poles anywhere on the root locus, but not away from the root locus. And suppose if our requirement is that the system behavior should be such that needs root locus, the closed loop poles to be located at somewhere else, apart from away from the root locus, then that is not possible with pure gain. For that we need compensation. One compensation that we just talked about was the adding a differentiator that differentiates the signal, and that differentiation simply produces the output that is proportional to the rate of change of input signal, and sends that to the plant to take the corrective action if any error signal goes into the system. Then differentiator produces an output that goes into the plant to take the corrective action. Faster the rate of change, higher is the corrective action. Smaller rate of change, smaller corrective action, and so on. That is only possible with differentiate. That results in improvement in the transient response, in the rise time, etc. Can make the system response faster. Right now, first we will focus on improving the steady state error, improving the accuracy of the system, and then we will switch back to the transient response portion using the proportional derivative controller. So here we have improving the steady state error. Compensators are not only used to improve the transient response of a system, like I've just said. That was the one use of it. There is another use, and that is for that we use them to improve the steady state steady state response of the system, to reduce the steady state error. They are also used independently, that is without using that type of compensation that we have discussed. We can exclusively only use this type of compensation and improve the transient response as well, that we are talking about right now, and independently to improve the steady state error characteristics. Previously, when the system gain was adjusted to meet the transient response, previously when the system gain was adjusted to meet the transient response specification, steady state error performance deteriorated, since both transient response and the static error constants were related to the gain. Now if you are not following this thing, you must go back to the steady state accuracy portion, and there you can see the error constants and how we found those error constants, etc. What is said over here is that previously we have seen that by simply adjusting the gain, we could increase the transient response, we could meet the transient response requirement specifications at the cost of steady state error performance. Steady state performance deteriorated, steady state error increased. So that these are two conflicting things. The higher the gain is, the smaller the steady state error is, but larger is the overshoot. Higher the gain is, smaller is the steady state error, but larger percentage of overshoot. So when we reduce the steady state error, increase the steady state accuracy, that was at the cost of the transient response performance, larger overshoot. On the other hand, if we reduce the overshoot, then that increases the steady state error. If we try to improve the steady state transient performance by reducing the overshoot, that was at the cost of steady state accuracy. The steady state accuracy of the system decreased. But both of these things are the requirement. We need to improve both of them simultaneously. If we use dynamic compensators, that is what we are doing in this chapter, considering in this chapter, compensation networks can be designed that will allow us to meet transient as well as steady state error performance simultaneously. We no longer need to compromise between transient response and steady state error as long as the system operates in the linear range. As long as the system is in linear range, we can achieve both the transient response improvement as well as the steady state accuracy by using dynamic compensation, that is by using proportional integral controller, by using proportional derivative controller. So that is what we are doing. By using this proportional integral controller, we can improve the steady state accuracy of the system. In chapter 7, we saw that the steady state error can be improved by adding an open loop pole at the origin in the forward path, that is increasing the type number of the system. By increasing the type number of the system, we increase the accuracy of the system. Steady state error was reduced. You must have studied this in the previous lectures. That was a very important topic that was done. Many problems related to that were also done. So that is what is happening. So when we add the pole at the origin that corresponds to the proportional integral controller, then that results in improvement in the steady state accuracy or reduction in the steady state error of the system. Improvement in steady state accuracy, reduction in steady state error are same things. Steady state performance improves. In summary, transient response is improved when with the addition of differentiation, and steady state error is improved with the addition of integration in the forward path. So what we have said over here is that we can improve the transient response by using differentiation. We can improve the steady state error by using the integration. We can achieve both by using differentiation as well as integration. That is called PID controller. Ideal integral compensation, PI compensation or PI controller. Steady state error can be improved by placing an open loop pole at the origin, because this increases the system type by 1. We have already seen this thing in our steady state accuracy chapter. When we add a proportional integral controller, basically we add the pole at the origin, that increases the type number of the system, and therefore the steady state accuracy increase. For example, for a type 0 system responding to a step input with finite error responds with 0 error if the system type is increased by 1. If we have a type 0 system and we give it a step input, it has a finite steady state error. And if we increase its type number by using a PI controller, that is adding a pole at the origin, then that becomes, we have a free integrator in the loop gain in the open loop function. Type number increases, and the result is that the error due to step input becomes 0 by increasing the type number of the system. In this way, by using proportional integral compensation, we can increase the accuracy of the system. Active circuits can be used to place poles at the origin. Active circuit means operational amplifiers along with resistors and capacitors, even inductors. We can make transfer functions. We can make the transfer function of proportional integral controller, and these circuits can be added in the along with the system at the low power side of the system, and in this way we can increase the accuracy of the system. Before the plant, we can when the input signal is going into the plant, we can add controllers, and those controllers can affect the input signal. Then that passes through power amplifier and goes into the plant. So we add these controllers at the low power side, and by doing this, we can increase the accuracy of the system. In the example that follows, we demonstrate the effect of an ideal integral compensation. An open loop pole will be placed at the origin to increase the system type and drive the steady state error to 0. and open loop 0 will be placed very close to the open loop pole at the origin, so that the original closed loop poles on the original root locus still remain at approximately the same points on the compensated root locus. The example that will follow, it demonstrates the ideal integral compensation. An open loop pole will be placed at the origin. This increases the system type number, and thus therefore the steady state accuracy improves. And an open loop 0 will also be placed, but very close to the open loop pole. Why? Because so that the original closed loop poles on the original root locus still remain at approximately the same position, so that the original root locus of the uncompensated system is not disturbed or changed to a larger extent. It will be modified, but to a smaller extent, because there is pole zero cancellation. Whenever there is a pole, and if you have a zero at the same location, there is a pole zero cancellation. If you have pole at anywhere on the complex plane and there is a zero close to it, then there is not pole zero cancellation, but that zero removes the effect of the pole, but not completely, so that there is no compensation. That zero reduces the effect, rather it reduces the effect of that pole, so that the root locus is not affected, its shape is not affected. So we will do, as you will see in the example shortly, that we place a pole at the origin and then we place a zero close to it. That will basically zero will be placed, so that the overall root locus of the system with the compensator proportional integral controller added to it is not affected to a larger extent, and it remains more or less same. The root locus will be changed, but we don't want it to be changed completely. It will be slightly changed. That happens because we add a zero close to the pole at origin. This thing will be shown in the next example. Now this is our example 9.1, where these things are happening. Problem is that we are given a system of the figure that you can see over here, operating with a damping ratio of 0.174, and show that the addition of the ideal integral compensator shown in figure 9.4b, that is also shown over here, reduces the steady state error to 0 for a step input without appreciably affecting the transient response. Now if the root locus is not changed to a larger extent, the transient response will not be changed. That is one thing. So we have to add the pole at the origin, but in such a way that the root locus is not affected. The compensating network is chosen with the pole at the origin to increase the system type, and a zero at -0.1 close to it, close to the compensator, so that the angular contribution of the compensator evaluated at original dominant second order poles is approximately 0. This means that we add the pole at the origin and then we add a 0 close to it at -0.1, then the addition of this 0 will ensure that the root locus is not to a larger extent, slightly changed, not more than that. Because if it gets changed, then the transient response shape of the transient response will also change. We don't want that to happen. We only want to improve the steady state accuracy. Thus the original dominant second order closed loop poles are still approximately on the new root locus. So you can see in the figure, upper figure, we have the plant and gain, and we replace this gain by a compensator, and this compensator is a proportional integral compensator, PI compensator. We have added this. It has a pole at the origin and a 0 at -0.1. This is what we have added along with the constant gain K. Work out this example. We have the system as you have seen in the previous slide in the block diagram. We can make the root locus from that block diagram using GH, that is the open loop function, and this is the uncompensated system root locus, as you can see over here in this slide in figure 9.5. You can get this by using the rlocus command of MATLAB. You can do it on paper as well. And now what next? The damping ratio is, as given in the question, is 0.174. This 0.174 can be found if you draw a line at an angle, or at a certain angle. As you can see over here, there is an angle 100.02 degrees. Now what actually the thing is that, if you recall our chapter number 4, the time response chapter, if you look at this figure, this makes a triangle. This is the perpendicular side like this, and this is the hypotenuse. There's an angle over here. This angle is, let us say, alpha. Cos of this angle is equal to zeta. Cos of alpha is equal to zeta. If you don't understand this thing, then I will strongly recommend that you should refer back to the chapter of time response. That's chapter number 4 of our Phillips John Parr book, and from there you can see that the zeta is actually cos of alpha, and this is alpha. Alpha is, and this angle which you see over here is 180 minus alpha. 180 minus alpha. Cos of alpha is zeta, and zeta is given in the question 0.174. So from here, taking the inverse cos of 0.174, we get alpha, that is this angle, and we subtract from 180, we get this angle 102 degrees. So when you draw this root locus on paper, what you have to do is that you draw a line at an angle of 100.202 degrees, and where it cuts the root locus, that is this point, that is the point where you have to find the value of the pole at that point. And that thing is very easy in root locus in MATLAB. In MATLAB, this thing is very easy. All you have to do is that click at a position where zeta is 0.174. Find the zeta along this curved portion of the root locus where the zeta is 0.174. Then it will give you, if you click at it, it will give you not only the value of the pole but also the value of the gain k, which gives that closed loop pole, and the value of zeta at that point. Now we get this closed loop pole for this on this line for this particular value of zeta. That is one thing. The second thing is that for this k, that is 164.6, we try to find out where the third pole will be, because as you can see in the previous slide, there are three poles of the system. Uncompensated system, there are three poles. So the open loop system has pole over here, here, and over here. But as k increases above 0 and it goes to 1.64, the poles start moving along the root locus, and they reach, two of the poles reach over here, and the third one, which is over here, it goes here at minus 11.61. that is for k is equal to 1.64. That is the second thing. Now for this particular value of k, that is 164.6, this value of k of uncompensated system, where we have this value of k, the steady state error, we want to know the steady state error, how much steady state error is going to be. For that, we calculate the position error constant, kp, which you can see over here. Kp can simply be calculated by substituting for position error constant. We put apply limit s approaches 0 k g h, where k is 164.6, gh is the g is the transfer function of the plant, h is the transfer function of the sensor. We simply apply this limit s approaches 0 on kgh for this particular value of k, because this is the value which gives the closed loop poles at a location where zeta is 0.164, which is the requirement in the question. Now at this particular value of kp that we get, we want to find the steady state error. That steady state error is found in the next slide like this. This steady state error for the position error constant, and the step input is step, then the steady state error is 1 upon 1 plus kp, and that turns out to be 0.018. It's not 0. So our target is actually to bring this error down to 0. For that, we will use proportional integral compensation. What we will do is that we will modify the controller, which was simply k, and we will, after modifying it k, we change it into a system that has a pole at origin. As it has we change that k into a new system, which was shown in the second figure in the previous slide. We transform that into a system where we have a pole at origin s is equal to 0, and the other pole at the 0 at minus 0.1. We modify, we add a pole and a 0 in the loop, in our loop gain in kgh. We add, deliberately, intentionally add a 0 at minus 0.1 by changing this k into this thing, k s plus 0.1 upon s, making a new transfer function. Using this new transfer function, this result will be, this will result in a pole and a 0 which is added in our system over here. Now our system has 1 2 3 4 poles and 1 0. Now the system has 4 poles and 1 0. Previously it had only 3 poles. Now it has 4 poles. Now due to this, the root locus of the system will also be changed, but slightly, because we have a 0 very close to the pole at origin. We have a 0 at s is equal to minus 0.1. Therefore the effect on the overall root locus will be very small. When we add this deliberately into the system, we add this term into the system, we add this transfer function into the system deliberately, that will affect the overall transfer function as well. For that, what you have to do is that plot another root locus using the RLocus function of MATLAB, and try to find out the position of the closed loop pole and the corresponding value of capital K, where the zeta is 0.174. You can do that by clicking at various places along the root locus, and you will find a place where zeta is 0.174. You will also get the value of capital K and the value of the closed loop pole from there. And for this particular value of K, our third, which was the third pole previously, this will move to somewhere over here at this location for this particular value of K. So what we have done so far is that we have added a proportional integral controller into the system. Now after doing that, adding an ideal integral compensator with a 0 at 0.1 as shown in that figure, we obtain a root locus in the figure that is shown over here in figure 9.6. that is this figure. Okay, now the dominant second order pole are the third pole beyond minus 10. This pole is there, they are talking about this pole, this one. Okay, this pole, the dominant second order pole, this is the dominant second order pole, the third pole beyond minus 10, and the gain are approximately the same as for the uncompensated system. What this statement means is that when we have added the pole at the origin and a 0 at minus 0.1 to increase the type number of the system and to reduce the steady state error, this has affected the root locus, but very slightly. The dominant poles, the poles that are dominating, that have a major impact on the transient response, they are not moved from their previous position significantly by doing this, adding this PI compensator. Another section of the compensated root locus is between the origin and point 1. There is a root locus section over here. Now let me state a few things again. Basically what we have done is that we have modified the system transfer function. We have intentionally added another transfer function in it, which has a 0 at k is equal to s is equal to minus 0.1 and a pole at the origin. Now these are the locations of the open loop function poles, that is a pole at s is equal to 0, a 0 at minus 0.1, a pole at minus 1, a pole at minus 2, a pole at minus 10. These are the poles of open loop function. As we increase, that is for k is equal to 0, as we increase k and we reach up to a certain value, For example, in this case with this modified system, we find this value of k from the root locus. First of all, we generate the root locus by using rlocus function of MATLAB, and from the root locus we click at various places on the root locus and we find the value of zeta, that is 0.174, which is required in the question, and that turns out to be the location that you can see over here. Here we get zeta equal to zeta is equal to 0.174 and k is equal to 158.2, and we get the value of closed loop pole as well. By simply clicking at that point, that you get these values. Now what is happening over here is that with the modification that we have added this pole 0 in the system, there is a effect on the overall system as well, the location. Now for k is equal to 158.2, we are getting a zeta that is equal to 0.174. Previously this value was different, k's value was different. There is a slight modification in the overall root locus, but that modification is very slight. As it is stated over here, the dominant second order poles, which are these poles, and the third order pole beyond -10, which is this pole, these poles will be affect their position, their open loop position will not be affected, but their positions as k is increasing will also be different, affected as compared to the uncompensated system. One thing. The second thing is that now what is happening over here is that we have a section of root locus here as well, and as we increase k from 0 to this value 158.2, we get the closed loop pole over here, and it's mirror over here, mirror image over here, and this moves to this new position, that is 11.55. -10 open loop pole moves to -11.5. we also have a movement of this pole over here. This pole moves towards the 0 at -0.1. The pole which was at origin, it will also move, it will move towards left hand side. We have a section of root locus over here between -0.1 and 0, so this moves towards left hand side, and as stated here, for a value of k which is this, we have the fourth closed loop pole at -0.092. This means that the pole which was at origin, it has now moved to this new location. That is what is stated over here. Now with all this, what is the benefit, why we did it, what was the outcome or result of all this thing? We did this to improve the steady state accuracy of the system, and in principle we have since we have increased the type number of the system, and therefore if there was a finite steady state error for a step input, we should have a 0 steady state error, because we have increased the type number of the system. So now let us see that is that happening. So searching this region, that is from the origin 0 up to the point where there is a 0 -0.1, searching this region for the same gain, that is k is equal to 158.2, the fourth closed loop pole is found to be at -0.0902, close enough to the 0 to cause the pole 0 cancellation. This means that the compensated system's closed loop poles and the gain are approximately same as the uncompensated system closed loop poles and the gain. Previously it was 164, now we have 158. It's nearly close to it, which means that the transient response of the compensated system is about the same as that of the uncompensated system. However, we have increased the type number of the system by 1. It's a type 1 system now. Previously it was type 0 system, now it's type 1 system. This means that if there was finite steady state error for a step input, now we should have a 0 steady state error for a step input. So this is our achievement. We have basically improved this steady state performance of the system. As you can see over here in this graph, uncompensated system is not converging and getting a steady state value equal to 1, which it should, but using the proportional integral compensator, we have reduced the steady state error to 0, and it goes to the steady state value of 1. That is actually what we have achieved by this addition. Figure 9.7, which you've just seen, compares the uncompensated system response with the ideal integral compensated response. The step response of ideal integral compensated system approaches unity in the steady state, like I've just said, while the uncompensated approaches 0.892. In compensated system it approaches 1, whereas in uncompensated system it approaches 0.892. There's a certain steady state error. Thus the ideal integral compensated system responds with zero steady state error. The transient response of both the compensated and the ideal integral compensated system is same up to 3 seconds. Look back here and you can see that this is the transient response portion. It's nearly the same. The change is over here. Here we have see the improvement. We have basically used the proportional integral compensator to improve the steady state performance of the system. So however, notice that the compensated system reaches the uncompensated system's final value in about the same time. The remaining time is used to improve the steady state error over that of the uncompensated system. So now a method of implementing this integral compensator is, we have the system in this form over here like this. We add in parallel to it this term K2 upon S. This gives us a proportional integral compensated system, proportional integral controller system with proportional integral controller. We have K1 plus K2 upon S. We have added a term K2 upon S in parallel. The overall transfer function of this controller, GC, this thing that is inside this over here, it becomes K1S, which you can see over here, K1S plus K2 upon K1 whole divided by S. This contributes a pole at the origin, this thing, and a 0. By adjusting the ratio of K2 upon K1, we can adjust the position or location of the 0. The 0 is for pole 0 cancellation, so that the transient response of the system is not affected by addition of this 0. The value of 0 can be adjusted by varying K2 upon K1. In this implementation, the error and the integral of the error are fed forward to the plant. And since figure 9.8, which you have just seen, has both proportional and integral control, the ideal integral controller or compensator is given the alternate name PI controller. We call it PI controller. Later in the chapter we'll so and so forth. So next, ideal derivative compensation. So far we have seen proportional integral compensation. Proportional integral compensation is basically used to improve the steady state accuracy of the system, as you have just seen. Now this thing that we are considering right now, this is used to improve the transient performance of the system. Transient performance includes the rise time, how fast the output rises towards the steady state value, the overshoot, that is the peak that occurs after during the initial transient portion. That is something like this. We have this steady state, this is the overshoot over here, and then it undershoot and it settle down. So this is called the overshoot. And rise time is basically how fast on the time axis this response rises towards the steady state value, and this is our steady state value. So the derivative compensation, proportional derivative compensation, PD compensation, this is basically used to improve the transient performance of the system. The transient response of a system can be selected by choosing an appropriate closed loop pole location on the S-plane. If this point is on the root locus, then simple gain adjustment is all that is required to meet the transient response performance. It is written over here. Now this means that when we want to improve the transient performance of the system, all we have to do is choose the appropriate closed loop location of closed loop pole location on the S-plane. If that location lies on the root locus by chance, which is nearly not so in 99% of the cases, rather I would say 95% of the cases, then we have to use the dynamic compensation. For that we have to include another transfer function into the system. We call that the proportional derivative controller. We add that into the system, and we use that to bring the closed loop poles at that desired location. That is what we are considering over here. If the closed loop pole location is not on the root locus, I'm here, then it is not on the root locus, then the root locus must be reshaped so that the compensated, that is the new root locus, goes through the selected closed loop pole location. We have, if the it simply means that the desired location where the closed loop pole should be, that is basically obtained from the required behavior of the system. From there we can get the desired closed loop location, and if that by chance lies on the root locus, then it's no issue. It simply adjusts the gain of the controller k term, we change the gain of k and we get the poles over there. But if it is not so, and that is not so in most of the cases, then we have to use a proportional derivative controller to reshape the new root locus, change the root locus, and bring the root locus to pass through that required point. The closed loop poles are then set on that location. In order to accomplish the later task, that is this task, poles and zeros can be added in the forward path to produce a new open loop function whose root locus goes through the design point on the S-plane. Okay, one way to speed up the original system that generally works is to add a single zero to the forward path. By simply adding a single zero to the path, we can achieve this thing. This zero can be represented by a compensator whose transfer function is like this, s plus zc. By simply adding this transfer function, replace that k with this s plus zc, we can get the effect of proportional derivative controller. This function, the sum of the differentiator and a pure gain, is called ideal derivative or PD controller. Judicious choice of the position of the compensator 0 can quicken the response over the uncompensated system. In summary, the transient response unattainable by simple gain adjustment can be obtained by augmenting the system's pole and zeros with an ideal derivative compensator. That is this thing. We add simply this thing into the system and we can achieve the desired closed transient response performance. We will see this thing in detail in the next lecture. Don't worry about it. We will see the proportional derivative controller in the next lecture. This will be continued from here. If you have any kind of questions, please feel free to ask. Contact me. Give the list to the CR and he will send it to me and I will answer all those queries. And watch the complete lecture. Read the book. Book reading is a must. Without book reading you will not be able to understand it. And if you have any kind of problem, feel free to contact me.